Uh-oh, guys. I just got a message from Joshua Collins. He says there's no chance of him winning the Washington 10th District primary unless this stream gets at least 400 likes. I don't really understand how it works, but he seems to have a better understanding of, his own path to victory than I do. So I'm just going to defer to his expertise in that regard. That sounds legit, Vosh. We believe you. Yeah, of course, of course. You think I would lie to you like that? Nah, get real. Come on. No way he said that, fam? Really? Well, he's going to be on soon, so I guess we can settle our little truth dispute here. Did you guys know that disliking a stream or video actually contributes to the algorithm just as much as liking a stream or video? Did you know that? They don't tell you that, but it's just a matter of measuring engagement. So if you dislike a stream, you obviously cared about its content. You know, it's the exact same level of of algorithmic support. It's really weird. How's everyone doing? It's so delightful to be here with you again. A little bit of a different stream time than we normally do. Actually, today's stream is going to be broken up into two separate parts. A little bit strange on that. We're going to be talking to Joshua Collins today. Joshua Collins is, of course, a candidate for the Washington 10th District Congressional race, and a socialist to boot, a socialist truck driver. You may have seen him shitposting on Twitter. He is rather good at it. And later today, at 5 p.m. PST, I'm going to be having a debate with Bastiat, a Twitch streamer and neoliberal. We're going to be debating something. I don't actually know what we're going to be debating. I have no idea. I have no clue. I like to heighten the challenge for myself by not preparing at all. You know, for all I know, I could walk in there. It could be a debate on Israel versus Palestine. It could be a debate on the Federal Reserve. It could be a debate on falling rate of profit. I have no idea. I don't know. I have no idea. Makes it all the more fun. Don't punch your mic out of the socket again? Yeah, that was pretty funny. No, the mic is solidly where it needs to be. Happy to report. Here, hold on. Let me make sure he's ready. I won 2 hours of my life back. The REM assault boy. Unbelievable idiocy. Oh, dude, that REM discussion. Oh, boy. I'm looking at YouTube chat right now. I really like looking at YouTube chat sometimes because I love the site chat. I love the funny frogmen. I love all of you. You're beautiful to me. But YouTube chat, seems like it's this constant war between people who like me, Nazis, and people who don't like me because I'm actually secretly a liberal. You know? So every time I look at YouTube chat, there will people who be like, Vosh isn't a real anarchist. Vosh is just a rad lib. Anybody who doesn't believe in annihilating the bourgeoisie and establishing a proletarian state through nuclear armament is some kind of like something like that. You know what I mean? It's good. I like it. You know, it's a good discourse. We love you. I love you guys too. I'm waiting for Joshua Collins to respond now, so we'll get to that. Oh, God. How's everyone doing? I hit 70k subs today. Was that yesterday? I hit 70k subs sometime in the past 24 hours, so that's nice. We're getting up there. Why can't we have a shorter copy pasta? Well, the longer the copy pasta, the better it is. That's the thing. It might be, Sadabra. It's been pretty wild. 70k is nothing compared to my 5 subs. Oh, it's not really that much more. Think about it. The difference between 5 subs and 70,000 subs is infinitesimally smaller than the difference between 70,000 subs and 4.2 million subs, which is how many Steven Crowder has. So I am still very much a small, just a tiny and little itty bitty drop in the pond. And I will start banning all of you for spamming the copy pasta. You've had your fun. You have to stop now. You have to stop. I'm really sorry, guys. You have to stop now. Do you guys remember the bonk You guys remember the bonk, right? That I postulated, that I wisely suggested last stream, the bonk emote. I don't think I'm going to use this one for the stream. I don't know how. I don't think it's quite the vibe I was looking for. But I got this off Twitter, and it's so fucking cute, dude. Yeah. It's so fucking cute. Look at this. He's like bonking himself, which makes it all the more like cute and innocent. You know what I mean? It's so goddamn cute. Bonk? Yeah, bonk. A little baby bonk. Bonkler. Yeah, it's really cute. Here, I'll give you guys the link so you can play around with it yourself. I think Wet Thy Psycho was the person who made it. Really, really cute. Oh, nice 21st century socialist. We're getting up there, aren't we? All right, calling Joshua. What does a self-bonk mean? To, like, commit suicide? Hold on. Hello?
Oh, I'm on push to talk 1 second. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Howdy.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm doing wonderfully. How about yourself? Here, hold on. Let me laboriously attempt to get your camera visible to everyone else. How's your day going?
Good. Been busy.
I don't
I'm
doubt it.
being smeared by one particular opponent that I'm running against. So just endlessly.
Wait, fill me. What's the deets? Fill me in on the drama. Who's smearing you?
Yeah. Oh, are we live right now?
I should probably clarify. My apologies.
Yeah.
Yes, we are live
Sure.
right now.
Yeah, no,
We are
okay.
working to the entertainment of an audience.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got 9 opponents at least, like 9 officially filed opponents.
Mm-hmm.
4 Democrats, 5 Republicans. And there is one opponent who is theoretically progressive, who didn't support Bernie Sanders in the election. Never even mentioned his name. Never supported Warren. Basically sat out the presidential election, right?
Gotcha.
And she is the only candidate I've ever, like, her supporters and I've had issues with them just flat out lying about me. Not that they're criticizing me. Like, I can take criticism, but they're flat out just making stuff up.
That you're the Zodiac killer? That's a common one I know in the political arena.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's stuff like saying that I don't use a union printer and that I'm not actually pro-union. Now it's patently false. We use a union printer, and so I don't know where they're getting it. And then other stuff. They're also calling it bullying that I've like debated people because some of them are younger than me. So I don't know what to do with that. So like I've debated, I don't know, like a dozen people on like Instagram Live and stuff. And
That sounds like some snowflake shit to me personally. Debate is the hallmark of political discourse, is it not?
Yeah, and one of the people they said that I bullied. They said that I like bullied him, and I like reached out to him because I thought we were like friends, and I thought we had a pretty amicable debate.
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure I wasn't disrespectful and that I wasn't like talking down to him. And he said no, it was fine. It was a really good productive conversation, and we ended up agreeing on a lot of stuff because he's a liberal. I mean, I'm a socialist. He's a liberal, so we had some stuff where
Right,
we agreed
not
on.
debating a neo-Nazi. We can agree on some basic, principles.
Yeah.
So yeah, wait.
Exactly.
Let's avoid getting too far ahead of ourselves. I, of course, know who you are, but would you like to introduce yourself broadly to anyone who hasn't had the fortune?
Yeah, so I'm Joshua Collins. I'm a 26-year-old socialist truck driver running for Congress in Washington's 10th district. And if you are in Washington, it's the Olympia and Tacoma area, basically. We started this campaign over a year and a half ago. I used social media to fund my campaign entirely, and we've raised about 220 grand from small donations, average about $15.50. Our most common donation is $4.20.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that. I am also
Thanks.
a 26-year-old socialist. I have driven a truck once. It didn't go well. So you're
Yeah.
beating me out empirically on that, at the very least. I don't know if you recall or if you've put 2 and 2 together. I saw you, actually, at the Tacoma Dome Bernie Sanders rally. I awkwardly asked to take a selfie with you and made a very silly face because I directed both of us towards the sun.
Yeah, I had no idea who you were then. And when I posted, So I posted that photo on Instagram, I think, and then like everyone was like, "Oh my God, you met Vosh," and I was like, "Oh, this is like actually like a like some sort of public figure." And then I didn't really like look into you that much, but then I started seeing your videos on TikTok of all places.
Really? That's the one social
Yeah,
media platform I have no presence on, at least no
right.
deliberate presence on. Are the kids are running off wild with my clips then?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then
Okay.
they'll usually like link to your YouTube and tell people to go follow you and stuff.
Yeah, I'll take
So
it. God,
yeah,
I've seen your TikToks. I would see. Okay. I'm your age. You know, I've never really
yeah,
identified, I
right.
guess, that much with the Zoomer affectation. I don't know what I would do with TikTok. I feel like I'm not hot enough. Like you have to dance to like a pop song, and then you point at words that appear. You know, like you do the dun dun, and then you point at like Medicare for all is a human right. You know what I mean? I've never felt like I could really
Right.
pull it off that well. I've seen your TikToks. You seem to have mastered the medium, far
Yeah.
past what I could ever imagine doing.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of awkward, especially at first. Like my oldest TikToks are my worst ones, and even still, like I post some that are cringe, and then just delete them when no one likes them. So
Oh,
yeah,
me too. Me too.
right. But
Uh,
yeah, like then I have some that just randomly go fucking wild, and they took almost no effort. Like one of my most viral ones was right when we started like to like ramp up the conflict with Iran.
mhm.
I posted one that was like basically saying that this was the same as the like ramp up for the Iraq War. And it got like 1 million views, and like it got ripped and put on like every social media platform. And just like from my TikTok alone, it was like 1 million, but like overall, that probably got like 5 to 10 million views just because it was used so much.
Jesus, you can. I mean, you can never really tell with those sorts of things, right? The whims of
Yeah,
social media, the algorithm is um, unbeknownst to us entirely. I'm glad it popped off, and for what it's worth, I mean, it's
yeah,
working. I mean, I heard about you. You are like the poster child of the Chapo Trap House subreddit. So
right.
yeah, I heard about you like quite a long time. I heard about you only slightly after I even got my YouTube channel up on the ground, frankly. So
Yeah.
you've been there that whole time. One thing I'm concerned about, though, is to what extent do you believe that kind of online support translates into electoral support?
Mm. Well, a good example. I mean, I have to be clear. Like, social media is not voter outreach. It is a tool to recruit volunteers, to earn media coverage, and to raise money. Frankly, now we have raised $220,000 through social media. That is like unheard of, unless you're Bernie Sanders, basically. So we did have like a major volunteer event that you actually showed up to, that Bernie Sanders rally. We collected signatures at that rally. We had 100 volunteers show up for that and collected 1,000 signatures over the course of a couple hours.
Yeah, it was.
And
It looked.
that's what that did for
It
us,
was. I mean,
basically.
it was popping. Yeah, I tried to contribute too. I bought the most expensive poster in my life from your booth, of course, because you choose what you pay for it. I'm really glad
Right.
that it's been working out. It seems like the traditional methods of running a campaign, the traditional methods of fundraising, are inherently
Mm.
exclusionary to anti establishment candidates. And for that reason, the
Yeah.
knowledge that we can work within kind of like an alternative dynamic is heartening. You know who?
Mm.
I always fuck this name up. God help me. Chat, make fun of me if you want. Cenk Uygur? Yank. Cenk.
Cenk Uygur.
Cenk.
Yeah.
Okay. Cenk.
Yeah.
Cenk. Right? With it like a J, but it's a C.
Like a J.
Okay.
Cenk.
Cenk
Yeah.
Uygur.
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 Okay. Cenk
Yeah.
Uygur. Okay. All right. I'm going to try to remember
Yeah.
that.
There
I'm
you go.
not going to, but I'm going to try. He is, of course, he's the Young Turks guy, and he's enormously successful and popular and probably fairly wealthy. I
Mm.
imagine he'd have to be for all the, media he controls. And he got
Mm.
slammed in the California primaries. Like, he got
Yeah.
bodied. It wasn't even close because it seems like that, and you said it yourself, it's not voter outreach. You can be as popular as you want online. How many of those people who donate to you online actually live in your district, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, So we already had an effective canvassing operation. We had been knocking doors, kind of working out all the kinks, and we had knocked thousands and thousands of doors already, right? Um, Before the coronavirus situation,
Right.
we
Right.
actually hadn't even kicked off our canvassing operation. We were just doing like pretty like small events. A lot of it was like literally just me and my wife knocking doors, or like a couple volunteers going out and doing stuff, and then like reporting bugs with the app we were using and stuff like that. Um, our kickoffs were scheduled for like mid March, I think. I think it was March 21st or something, or something like that. And we ended up having to cancel just all of it. So
Right.
that kind of sucks. We were expecting like 100 people at least to turn out to both of our kickoffs. We had one for Thurston County and one for Pierce County, because it's that drive. People don't like to make that,
Hmm.
drive up by 5. But so that sucks. We've been hit pretty hard by that. But we are still doing voter outreach. We're phone banking. We have more volunteers than every single other candidate combined. We have a bigger web presence than every other candidate combined, which, does help in this particular scenario more than usual, because that's where, that's like where you're campaigning, essentially. You're campaigning online at this point. So
Yeah.
it's a very odd position where we found ourselves in, where although we don't get to utilize our massive on the ground volunteer base, we do still have way more volunteers than everybody else. And frankly, like a popular message to, spread around and convince voters. So.
Yeah, I actually tried to look that up before speaking to you. Of course, I know you're popular online. I've known about that for ages. But I was interested in seeing how you were doing relative to the other candidates in Washington 10. I looked at Ballotpedia and
Yeah.
Open Secrets, and I wasn't able to actually find any information about your level of raised finances relative to other candidates. I could see your info, but not the other
Yeah.
people's, which either means they're so insignificant as to not even be recorded, or just that
Mm-hmm.
they haven't made themselves open to those processes. I'm not actually sure.
Yeah.
How do you think you're doing, like stacked up wise? Nobody does polling for individual Congress seats, after all. Certainly not for the primaries.
Yeah. So we've got an idea of basically how much every other candidate raised. So to date, we've raised about $220,000. Now we did that in small donations, and
That's
we've
really
recently
fucking good.
saw, yeah, it's average donation of like $15. I don't remember the number of donations, but I think it's 14,000 or something like that. But we did that all online, and we've actually seen an increase in donations lately. We're raising well over $1,000 every single day. Our last quarter, we raised essentially an average of like $800 a day. So we are above that, and we actually haven't had any fundraising efforts. It's just been like a couple tweets here and there. So we are planning to actually start focusing on fundraising. We've never paid for Facebook ads to raise money, at least. We've kind of tested out ads for like events and stuff. Hasn't really been effective. But we raise all our money with organic reach. That's actually one of the most impressive things about what we've done. Even other campaigns, like progressive campaigns, they have to drop a lot of money on Facebook ads. Like I really like Shahid Buttar.
Mhm.
They have had a really successful Facebook ad fundraising system, but there is a lot of upfront cost for that, for them to raise that money. So when they do raise money, they're raising a little bit less than they actually are, because they're spending money to raise money.
Right.
We don't spend any money on ads. I think we spent like $10 to push an event, not actually to raise money. And that's wild. Like I don't know. Like it's hard to explain, because most candidates have to spend a lot of money, raise money. They do like expensive fundraising events. As far as how much my opponents have raised, one of my opponents has raised $100,000. He is the ex staffer of Denny Heck. His name's Phil Gardner. I don't
Yeah.
know exactly how much. Just his self-reporting said he raised 100 grand in the first quarter. Now, to give you an example of like how they raise their money, first of all, what they do, their primary source is calling wealthy donors who are on like FEC lists of donors, right? And anyone can do this. Like you can right now go into the FEC filings and find wealthy donors and start contacting them and start raising money. And any candidate can do that. It's a lot of work, and typically it only works if you have a message that appeals to those wealthy donors.
Right.
Now, for their other things, they host events. Now, he posted photos of an event that he had, like a fancy fundraiser. It was a room full of really old people, very clearly rich white people. And my wife looked up the venue to see how much they actually spent on that alone. And it was like 10 grand just to rent the venue for a day, which means they spent 10 grand just for
Hey, gotta spend
the
money to
venue.
make
And
money.
this
You know
is,
how it is.
yeah, exactly. So when an establishment candidate raises $100,000, it's not really $100,000. They spend at least half of their money on raising money. So the same is true for my other opponents. Now they've all raised, at least the Democrats have raised a lot more money. Marilyn Strickland is the CEO of the Seattle Chamber of Commerce. You might be familiar with her. She was a big figure in Seattle politics. She also used to be the mayor of Tacoma. And she was a big fighter, like against all the like anti-Amazon candidates.
Right. Yeah, I'm familiar with
She,
her heroic last stand. Her, the Battle of Thermopylae against Amazon, where she managed to prevail.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's who she is, and she has reported that she's raised over $250,000. And let's see, Beth Dolio has said that she's raised, I think, 240 grand. And Christine Reeves, we don't know yet. I expect her to have raised a lot of money. We have no reporting, but she was one of the biggest fundraisers in the Washington State House. She's also an executive for the Washington Military Alliance, which is like a lobbying thing.
Hmm.
So she's got that, that military industrial complex money coming to her, I'm sure. So
So
we're
would
just waiting on
you,
her. And
just
what's that?
out of
Go ahead.
curiosity, would you say then this is a pretty hung race? Like there are several candidates who have decent shots. It's not like there's
Mhm.
one overwhelmingly favored candidate and everyone else is looking for a book deal. This is very much an active fight.
Yeah. There are several different establishments in Washington State. It's very it's very fractured, and uh, I guess the thing I would say about the other Democrats in the race is they're all targeting the same demographics. Typically Democrat voters that are over 40. That's like the demographic all four of them are targeting. So
Yeah.
we
Cringe
have been
posting
specifically
boomers.
targeting. Yeah. So, and we're targeting, the youth and, the working class, the blue collar workers, service workers, people who typically don't vote. That's been our plan and our strategy the whole time. So, whether or not one of them can consolidate support among those demographics, I guess that determines whether or not, they are a serious threat to us.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen them take any, our fundraising still does great. Like they had no impact on our fundraising when, like even the progressive lib
Hmm.
announced. And, we've just, I don't know, we have a strong shot. The Republicans, there's 5 of them. And it's a pretty blue district. So I imagine one of them is going to be the candidate and the rest are probably going to drop out eventually.
From what I've seen, the
Um,
Republicans don't seem to have a chance here. So, yeah,
yeah, in the general, at least. Yeah.
yeah, in the general.
Yeah.
So what's interesting to me is, so obviously you've got a long road ahead of you, and I cannot imagine the stress, especially with COVID-19 impeding your ability to engage in more traditional, electoral vote gathering processes. But as I'm sure you're aware, just 2 days ago, leaked documents from the Labour Party of the United Kingdom revealed that back in 2017, many of the higher ups of the Labour Party were making a deliberate effort to sabotage Jeremy Corbyn's efforts to become prime minister. And I think
Mhm.
what this did was reinforce a lot of lefties' conception that winning at a national stage is going to always be nearly impossible because we are contending with every high level establishment interest that wants to maintain, its capital production. That there, as Sean put it on Twitter, in order for a conservative to win the election, they have to win the general. In order for a leftist to win, they have to beat the general, beat the media, and then beat their own party, and then win.
Right.
You represent the alternative to that. You're operating locally. I've had a lot of people talking lately about a need to learn from Bernie Sanders and engage electorally on a more local level, not just give up and hope for a Hail Mary in the presidential, but to actually get out there and start getting leftist congresspeople, leftist senators out there, maybe even a leftist governor one day, God willing. What inspired you to get started on that process?
So I'm a truck driver. I've been a trucker for 5 years, and frankly, it was climate change. I was driving around the country and like literally seeing the effects of climate change, and probably the most like the thing that I guess got to me the most was driving through a mountain pass one week, and then driving through it like a week later, and it's just like the forest is just a field of like tree skeletons, because forest fires just tore through like so much of like the forest during the last few years,
I was
and
in
I think
Los
that was the thing
Angeles.
that
I was in Los Angeles
yeah
during the wildfires. It was fucking insane. The 405 felt like it was like an Evil Knievel, like Daredevil stunt act with fire on both sides. The entire rolling
yeah
hills, like next to the observatory, were just like burning. The smoke choked the sky. It's we sure didn't get them like that back when I was younger.
yeah yeah. I mean that stuff like really got to me. Like I decided to run for something, and my entire like outlook on it was, if I don't do this, like no one else is going to do what I'm going to do, because I'm going to go and just be unapologetic. I'm going to be radical, and I'm going to be actually antagonistic to the capitalist class. And I'm going to be the person that doesn't, get into Congress and rub elbows with everyone else. I'm going to go and I'm going to shout at everybody and like, like call them out for like being frauds. And I'm going to like rip the mask off. That's my plan. Right. And almost no one is going to do this. Like, it's just, um, like I love AOC, but even she like does act very friendly with a lot of the people in
Yeah,
Congress, and
let's
I'm
put a pin in that. I'd love
uh,
to come back to that later, but for now, continue.
sure. Oh, and yeah, so I ran for office because I felt that I could, and I felt that I could do things a different way, and it worked. So yeah.
Yeah, has it been as difficult or has it been more difficult as you expected?
Actually, no. It's like some of the stuff that was difficult surprised me. Like public speaking is a lot harder than I thought, and I've gotten pretty good at it. But it was definitely the hardest thing. I had like over a dozen panic attacks, like in front of crowds while I'm speaking. And if you just walk off while you're speaking, then that's kind of the end of everything. So
Yeah.
I've had to like give speeches through panic attacks, which kind of sucked. But ultimately, like it's been pretty easy. I mean, the number one thing that I've learned though is to just not give a fuck what the establishment says, because they basically critique everything I do, and they tell me that I'm doing everything wrong. But by all indicators, we've been doing everything right. And they would tell me, don't use social media so much, don't curse on anything, don't use TikTok for sure. Don't hire people who have never worked on campaigns. Don't let your staff unionize. Just really basic stuff that they also wanted me to. Some of the part of the Democratic Party establishment wanted me to enforce their policy of not allowing campaign staffers to report or publicly out abusers. Like, this was explicitly demanded of me by like a liberal organization,
Oh,
and this is
naturally,
like the
yeah,
environment. Yeah,
bend the knee, don't shake the boat
yeah,
up too much. Um, yeah,
yeah.
it's incredible to me. There were people back in 2016 who said that Trump's victory sort of foretold the end of the Republican Party because this was like an
Mm-hmm.
unsustainable path of populist nonsense. But I think the opposite is actually true. I think that the Democratic Party is the one that's ailing right now because it's incapable of recognizing that we live in a different political era from like the late 90s or from the early 2000s, or even during the Obama years. The fact that Trump is capable of winning and with a record high approval rating within the Republican Party at that, with all of his mannerisms, is I think a strong indication that most people agree, or at least Republicans seem to agree, that times are dire enough that we don't need to hide behind, civility and nice suits, that we can be a little bit more authentic, a little more open, that we're looking for something a little bit more sincere. But the Democratic Party, as evidenced by the primary, doesn't really seem to have caught on to that. They just want to like the way babies want to get back to the blanket. They just want to go back to the Obama years where they don't have to think about anything. Of course, I don't think lefties are going to be susceptible to that tendency, but it's very frustrating, I think, watching the DNC do this to itself and convince the voters to do it to themselves. And I imagine it's more frustrating for you because you're running for Congress and I'm a YouTuber.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of saw this coming. Like, I worked my ass off for Bernie Sanders. But when he won those first couple states and like the media just blacked that out, and then like everyone dropped out to support Biden, I was like, nah, they're gonna push Biden on everyone. And I kept fighting for Bernie. I canvassed for him until the very last day. But it's kind of what I expected.
Yeah, it was
I was
like
not
the
surprised.
moderate Voltron, dude. I remember I was in the shower actually when I read it. I was showering and I have because I'm fucking ADHD. I have my phone in the shower in like a Ziploc bag, and I'm scrolling through Twitter feed and I see it the Klobuchar Buttigieg alliance. They've detached and made themselves into arms and joined in to become part of the Biden bot, and I was, it was like, wow, this fucking sucks.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, well, you know. Um, I want to come back to something that you said earlier, with regards to AOC, because I think this is. Oh,
Mm.
hey, shoe on head. This is a dichotomy that I'm very interested in, which I guess I could
Mm.
frame as like you versus AOC. Hopefully, it doesn't have to be you two
Mm.
versus each other, but in terms of your mentality. There are
Yeah.
many leftists who want to do what you do. Highly authentic, very direct. Fuck the establishment, fuck the system. Do what you want, represent the will of the people, show them that we're not afraid of their, establishment cowmongering. And then I feel like AOC is trying to play this longer game where they build this, like,
Hmm.
questionably anti-establishment appeal amongst populist-leaning Democrats, but never so much so
Yeah.
that she gets outright denunciation, and then like maybe one day she like throws the cloak off and she's like, all right, motherfuckers, the time has arrived. Get down on your knees,
Mm.
you know? But I think a lot of people are concerned the latter will never happen, that she'll just keep being like a progressive Democrat forever, you know?
So I guess like talking about AOC, I actually wouldn't have the giant Twitter following I have if it weren't for AOC. When I first got started out, I had like 34 followers, and she retweeted me a few times to get me to like I think 1,200 or 1,700 followers, and just like tweeting me out a couple times, and that helped massively for me to get started. Now my criticisms of AOC aren't of her like values at all. I actually think she is like pretty principled, um, and I don't totally disagree with what she's doing. Like I understand like all of the rationale behind what she's doing, and I think she's like if like actually to the left of Bernie Sanders, and so like I have to be clear about that. I'm probably more like political or like policy wise aligned with her than I am with Bernie. I just personally am going to go about it an entirely different way. And I do see the benefits of what she's done. I mean, she has essentially, built massive popular support behind herself, and I think she has a lot more power and influence with people that, quite frankly, I'll probably never appeal to, even if I tried.
Mhm.
And I think that's like a really good benefit. Uh, my plan is to go the exact opposite and just be the fucking bull in a china shop, and just full on just I don't know. I want to polarize the electorate, and because I think that's something that will benefit like the left and the working class.
Do you think I don't disagree with that. I think we need a plurality of approaches to meaningfully. I mean, God knows everyone else is doing this. You know, that's what the DNC has been
Yeah.
selling people for ages, right? Like between Obama or like a more moderate candidate, it's selling different flavors. And they, you know, what is it? Manufacturing consent, allow people discourse within a given range, and they'll feel more strongly about their participation, even if they can't see outside the walls. Your
Yeah.
existence as a more mask off, out and about socialist could conceivably enhance the ability of people like AOC to do what they do because it makes them look comparatively
Yeah.
like moderates who are acquiescing to a strong populist leftist base. And likewise, she benefits you because she is able to cultivate a kind of populist progressivism that will lead many down the road to outright socialism, which will then eventually, out of frustration, lead them to people like you.
Yeah.
I am a
That's kind
little
of how
bit
I see it.
hopeful.
I don't. Yeah, exactly, and that's why I don't hold it against AOC, like the decisions she makes, like her like tactics that she makes. Like I don't know, I don't totally disagree with how she goes about things. Um, it like it works for her. Like what she's doing is clearly working. I mean, I would say she's the most popular figure in the Democratic Party. I mean, she has certainly
Yeah.
the most influence,
Next to Obama,
and
I guess.
that's amazing. Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he's not in
I
office. Yeah.
think I would like to see some sort of move made, whether that's running for Speaker of the House or something else. I don't know. I would love to see Ilhan Omar as the Speaker of the House or Rashida. Um, whether or not any of them will actually make that move, I have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, I saw recently something from Ilhan Omar's daughter. I respect Ilhan Omar quite a bit. I
Yeah,
align with her
me
pretty
too.
heavily, I think, at a lot of policy issues. I recently saw Ilhan Omar tweeting like out of disgust. I think it was with regards to the Obama endorsement of Biden, or it could have been something prior. But it was, we lefties, we should no longer participate in electoral politics. This is it. Like we're done with this. And I think that's a
Mm,
really, not to throw shade or anything. I'm sure she's a wonderful person, but I think that's a really harmful sentiment. You
mm,
know, the old saying, like, if voting did anything, they would make it illegal. Well, they kind of are trying to. The Republicans have been systemically disenfranchising people for decades. There's obviously something they're trying to prevent. I don't think it's impossible to effect positive change within the electoral system. Maybe not revolutionary change, but I do think something good can come from it. And with that in mind, it frustrates me, I think, that a lot of the disappointment stemming from Bernie's loss here is going to lead people to think like, oh, fuck it, I'm not even going to bother participating. I'm not even going to vote. You know, they show up, they don't want to vote because they don't
mm,
want to vote for Biden, but you're also on the ballot. And everything down
mm.
ticket is on the ballot too. I think it's a really destructive sentiment. It bothers me a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, in my primary, there is no presidential candidate on it. Our presidential primaries and congressional primaries are separate, but as far as like the role of electoral politics in a socialist movement, this is something that I feel like a lot of people don't have a nuanced opinion on, or just aren't really like they don't see it yet. Um, the role of electoral politics, for me,
Hmm.
is not for me to go into Congress and be another vote and rub elbows and try and make nice with everyone and try and convince people like Nancy Pelosi to support my policies. No, I'm going to polarize everything. I'm going to be loud. I'm going to make the argument and I'm going to make it publicly and I'm going to make people choose a fucking side. And I'm going to make it clear that these are our enemies. I think Nancy Pelosi is one of the biggest blockers of progress in this country right now. And if I were in
You're not
Congress,
getting
I would
her
be calling it
endorsement.
out.
Uh oh.
Yeah, and I think that's I guess that's the important role that I have. AOC has chosen a different path of course. If I'm in Congress, I will be openly antagonistic to liberal Democrats, and I will actually I will be picking a lot of fights. Now,
You will
the
physically fight
purpose,
them on in the halls of the
yeah,
Congressional building. No, base.
but
No, I
the
agree.
purpose of
Good.
all this is to build a base, though. Like Bernie, like I think it's undeniable. Bernie Sanders' election has changed the left, like power dynamic so radically just by running as a presidential candidate. And like you can go to basically any left organization and you will have people who are only there because they saw Bernie Sanders and that's how they got brought in. That's actually my intent as well. I'm using electoral politics as a base building tool. I think it's very important that we build our base, that we don't just count on the existing Democratic voters who are already likely voters to try and change the world. We need to bring young people in. We need to show them how how ineffective electoralism actually is, and show them what the actual blockers are. And we need to radicalize an entire generation. That's the important thing. We need them to understand what actually needs to be done. And what I think needs to be done is we need a mass movement of the working class in the form of something like a general strike. And I think we are getting really close to that.
We're boiling up to
there.
one at the moment, aren't we?
Exactly, yeah. And if you didn't know, by the way, Rent Strike 2020, have you heard of that at all?
Yes, I have. But please, for those who haven't.
Okay, yeah. So I started some petitions demanding the suspension of rent, mortgage, and utility payments. I did this initially in Washington State, and then when it went viral, I did it all over the country. And over the period of about 3 or 4 days, we got around 2 million signatures. Now, we've used that to organize the Rent Strike 2020 organization. Now, I don't have any leadership role in that. I pass it off to organizers because I have my own stuff to do. But that was something that I essentially started, and it is a nationwide infrastructure to support rent strikes, essentially, and to educate people, to connect them with mutual aid organizations, to bring a spotlight on things, and basically just let people know what's going on, and use that massive email list to organize. And this is very similar to what happened in France with the Yellow Vest movement. A lot of people don't know this, but the Yellow Vest movement began with a very successful petition campaign that got 1 million signatures over the course of a few weeks. And they used those signatures, not just to pressure politicians. When the politicians didn't listen, they used the contact info they get from those signatures to organize, which is the most important part of that, right? And that's what Rent Strike 2020 does. And if you want more info, you can look it up.
A strike has always fundamentally been our greatest strength. There's no material way to compensate for our, at the end of the day, we're all holding up the floor they stand on. If we or to appropriate some language of Atlas Shrugs, there's nothing they can do to prevent that from happening. I do wish that we implemented strikes more. I do hate the fact that boycotting is seen by some to be an effective replacement of strikes, as if the live variant, instead of actually hitting them where it hurts, just buy a different brand of cereal. With regard to the efficacy of striking, do you agree that, because this is what I've heard, and I agree with this, I think, do you agree that the moment we start to see boots hitting the ground again, once the economy is reopened with COVID-19, that this would be our time to that's the pivotal moment. Fuck you, no, we're not going back to work. Find a way to maintain basic services without killing, thousands of people through exposure to this virus. I feel that's a key weak point historically that we could exploit.
I think that so I'm going to give my best guess of how this could play out. I think our only chance to try and organize a national general strike is before everyone goes back to work and everything goes back to
everyone
normal.
goes back to work. Okay.
Yes, because the second everything is back to normal, there will be a smaller segment of the population that even feels like they are part of the people getting screwed over. And it'll essentially just be the people who are going into debt, and the media obviously is not going to support them at all. And there's not going to be the public sympathy that you would see right now. I feel like right now is the time for people to start doing strikes. We are expecting to see some starting on May 1st. And also we are expecting to see a larger nationwide rent strike movement on May 1st. So I think this is our chance. We saw with the 2008 crash, there was a movement being built as a result of it. But when the economy started quote in its upswing or whatever the fuck, people kind of just went back to their business and started and tuned the fuck out again. And that's what I kind of expect to see it with the American people. The people who get screwed over are just people who get screwed over, and a lot of people won't really have solidarity with them unless we organize right now, and we do it while everyone feels like we're in this boat together. Because right now, if you're a renter, you're in the same boat as every other renter who can't pay the rent right now, and you have the same worries. If you're a worker, whether you're laid off or you're working and you're not getting hazard pay, you both feel like you are getting screwed over. And I think that's something that is fleeting. It might be like that entire sentiment might be gone the second everyone goes back to work, and everyone starts talking about how great everyone's doing, and then the people who are actually kind of doing okay and actually do survive it, can we expect them to have solidarity with the people who aren't? I wouldn't take that for granted. Which is why I think we need to do this stuff right now when
Yeah, we have a
everyone
very
feels like we are in
atomized
the same boat.
society with that respect. It's difficult,
Yeah.
I think, for a lot of people to sympathize. A lot of that, moral responsibility for success is placed on people's shoulders individually. I do like how many people have been shit talking landlords in social media, though. The extent to which we've normalized, like the idea of a landlord, is fucking disgusting. Like when you actually sit down and think about it, especially since you have all these landlords now who are complaining that if there's a rent strike, they won't be able to pay the mortgage payments, which means that if you pay rent to a landlord and you have to stop because the economy's shut down, and that means they can't pay their mortgage, that means you aren't the one relying on them for housing. They're the one relying on you for housing. You are the one providing every ounce of labor and wealth into that process. We don't do this for anything else. There's nothing else that we do this for. There's no other indefinite lease for people who don't even make the house but just got there first. Nobody does this, but we've normalized it. It's just something we've gotten used to. So the increasing level of antipathy that I'm seeing there is heartening, and that's the thing I think that we should be positive about. I hate to say it, but COVID-19. If we want to look at a silver lining here, positive about you, positive about Bernie Sanders. Even though Bernie Sanders has lost, for all intents and purposes, I think we can all agree Bernie Sanders' greatest strength was never his electoral viability, but rather him showing America there was another way. He's moved so many people over to the left just by showing them it's possible to believe in these things. And likewise, the antipathy that's being brought about from the economic crisis resulting from COVID-19 is, I think, waking a lot of people up to the fundamental structural problems that in our system. And I pray that when it ends, we don't all just go back to forgetting how broken our system is. Like we get back in the economy has a surge again, of course, because everything's running again, and we all just forget that for a brief period of time, we sincerely did not have a way of organizing the economy so people wouldn't starve to death while we shut down, businesses. I really hope we don't go back to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, we can either come out of this stronger or we can come out of this weaker. And I think it's a very binary option. And that depends on, what we do as the left. I mean, there's a very small percentage of the country that is even politically educated. And when I say educated, I don't mean people who read Marx. I mean people who even I don't know, I guess people who understand the basic dynamic of what we're dealing with landlords, with our workplaces, and what the path forward is. And I think it's very important that we raise the level of consciousness of the average person, rather than trying to I guess work within the current paradigm. Right now, the vast majority of people still don't know what a rent strike is. The vast majority of people don't know what a general strike is. They don't really know much about unions. They don't know, they don't even know what socialism is for the majority. We are making progress on that, but I think it's very important that we actually are reaching people with popular message and actually getting them to understand, no, I'm not some crazy authoritarian who's going to take over the government with some army, and then now everyone has to go to the gulags. It's this very
see, you say that now, but what if you're only being sarcastic? Maybe that is in fact exactly what you want to do.
I mean,
the average person is completely. the average person is completely politically illiterate. Trying to get across any message to the people other than more jobs and less immigrants is fucking exhausting. I can't imagine how many
Yeah.
hours Bernie's campaign team sat like behind like closed doors, like strategizing, like how do we say it would be better if we weren't all poor? Like how do we, like they're thinking like how do we deliver this message? Like how do we tell people good things are good and bad things are bad? And you need like fucking Einstein, like PhD workers trying to develop the bulletproof message that will resonate with the average. I'm very sorry to your constituency, dumb fuck American, because we've been deliberately insulated from any kind of political understanding because the more ignorant we are, the easier it is for them to force shit down our throats. Except for all your voters, all your
I
followers,
actually
very knowledgeable, very intelligent.
so I actually don't think it should be people with PhDs, and I don't think it should be people who are super like theory educated
Oh, I was being
folks who are
facetious
trying
there.
to do this. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I think actually that's my appeal. I'm a truck driver. I'm high school educated. I've never really read Marx. I don't
Uh
like read political theory, and what I do is I make my own analysis, and I try to frame things in a way that I would understand it, in a way that I would relate to. And so far, that has worked. I'm an open socialist that is radically anti-capitalist, running on probably the most aggressive and most progressive agenda or policy platform in the history of the country, right? Um, and yet, I still, when I talk to a voter at the doors, um, whether like almost no matter who they are, I have a really good chance of convincing them because I am used to talking to regular folks. I'm not spending all my time talking to people who are like diving into Marx theory and then like, spend all their time like, in Jacobin reading groups. I spend my time talking to regular people. I spent the last 5 years as a truck driver. Before that, I was a factory worker. Before that, I was a service worker. And I actually think my lack of a college education and like my worldview and my experiences actually make it easier for me to convey my ideas
No,
to a regular
I
person.
completely agree,
And I
and
think that's the
that's
important thing.
I think that's a beautiful thing because for decades leftism has been gatekept behind academia, which is of course useless. Academia, at least insofar as changing the world, is on its own completely useless. What philosophers and big brain, writers are doing behind closed doors is of absolutely no relevance to the well-being of the average person. The fact that now we're getting the dissemination of these basic ideas, not a complex treatise on the falling rate of profit, but a general understanding that hey, maybe we're kind of getting fucked over here, and the system of employment that we have come to normalize kind of is a form of exploitation. Maybe, possibly, maybe.
Yeah.
I think being able to frame these ideas in more colloquial language and for colloquial ends is infinitely more important than just getting another fancy pants socialist book out there. And I'm just happy that's happening because none of this happened before 2016. The average American,
Yeah.
prior to 2016, if you asked them what they thought socialism was, they would just run Stalin, Adolf Hitler,
Yeah.
Cuba, like that's it. That's where it stops. And now there's a little bit more nuance. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the case. And I think, we are actually like doing pretty well on the ground. We have, the poorest areas of my district are actually where I have the most like proportionately the most support. And I think that's like really telling. Like, I had an experience where I was knocking doors for Bernie Sanders, and I was like, clearly the apartment complex I was like knocking was like a full-on slum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I told the story. I told a story on social media about like what happened while I was there. The property management came up to me and handed me the phone saying the landlord wanted to talk to me. The landlord started shouting at me about Venezuela and all this other shit, like, just unhinged rant, right? It was wild. And
It's a
then,
standard debate opponent. You know how it is.
yeah, and she was telling me about how, Bernie Sanders, I was canvassing for Bernie actually at the time, but she was telling me how Bernie is going to take half of her hard-earned income. And I flat out said to this lady, like, ma'am, you're a landlord. You don't have any hard-earned income. And like, okay, she was just furious, screaming at me, and I handed back the phone, and like laughed. And I told them, "Well, I'm going to keep on canvassing the rest of these doors. I'm not soliciting. I have a legal right to continue doing this, right?" And I canvassed the whole apartment complex. And I told this story online. It turned out like she is a notorious like Republican figure that is also a slumlord and controls the apartments of several of my actual campaign volunteers.
Oh,
And one of my top volunteers actually has organized a rent strike in one of those slums. And like they have effectively like kind of taken some power in that situation, and they've been organizing with the tenants union and all that stuff. And this is like, I don't know. It's such a wild paradigm that I'm actually reaching the poorest people who need the help the most, the people who are, and they're also radicalized. Like the second, like they're already radicalized, and this has kind of been my like experience. People are radical right now. They just need an ideological framing for those radical feelings.
that's a good
Because
point.
right now there's a
The radicalism is already present. You just where do you
exactly.
Throw it?
I was in line at Wells Fargo going to pay my rent, right? My landlord has me like deposit money into his account. And so I'm standing in line, and we had a really long line because of COVID-19. And the folks around me started chatting. I'm kind of just on my phone. And I hear them talking about literally like, we have so many billionaires in this state. Why aren't they paying any taxes? Like why does Jeff Bezos need 140 billion? And like they're clearly like blue collar workers, like they literally have like their work uniforms on and stuff. And so I started like butting in, talking about how much money Jeff Bezos has, and like how little he actually pays, and like how fucked up I think it is that like our wealth is so concentrated in the hands of a few. And these people are like, yeah, I hate rich people. Like, why the fuck does this guy need 140 billion dollars? Like what an actual piece of garbage. And then towards the end, I'm talking about like, well, that's why we should support Bernie Sanders. Our primary was already over, but they were like, oh no, like I voted for Trump. And you've got these people who hate the rich. Fucking hate Jeff Bezos.
You say, hey,
yeah.
yeah, maybe try voting for Bernie Sanders. They turn to you and they say, what, that Jew? Oh God, we have to get them before the right does. It's very easy. You can direct anger like in any direction. If you put in just a little bit of effort. I feel like we need to be on the ground, engaging in some hardline recruitment.
Yeah, and that's why I use such radical framing. I literally I say stuff like the rich control everything. And when I say that, I mean the rich and large corporations. I specifically address our capitalist system, like this greedy, like capitalist system. And I make it clear that it's corporations and the very wealthy, that it's
Oh wait, Joshua. Just 1 second. Something happened to your microphone. It did a little crackle.
Okay.
And you're quieter. Do you mind bopping it?
Can you hear me?
Well, I can hear you. It's just a little quieter and tinnier than it was before. I think it got bopped. Maybe like smack it or something. I don't know. I'm not a tech.
Is it better?
Oh, a little farther out than that, but we'll work with it.
Okay. So yeah,
All right, there we go.
I use the framing specifically as that the working class and capitalist class, because I make it clear that like there are landlords and there are renters, and then there are homeowners, and then there are the mortgage companies, and then there are like workers, and then there are executives and shareholders. Like I specifically use this framing because I want people to understand that like you have a lot, like as a regular worker in America, you have a lot more in common with like a farm laborer from Guatemala than you ever will with Jeff Bezos.
Goddamn right.
And I want that stuff to be clear. I want people to understand like you are a worker first. Like if you are supporting this capitalist system, you're supporting your boss. Like your boss doesn't support you. None of it's going to be reciprocated. And I want to radicalize discourse. And that's kind of what I've been doing. So.
And I thank you for it. I really, really appreciate you coming on to speak with me. I must hold true to the hour-long format. Could you kindly refer everyone watching and listening to every social that you would like to plug?
Yeah. So I am on every platform at Joshua for Congress. So I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, uh, and Facebook. Joshua, the number 4 Congress. My website is joshua2020.com. You can donate there. You can also see my full policy platform, over 230 policies. And you can also join our Discord server. I think we're at like 1,800 people in our server. So if you're interested in volunteering, that's the place you would do it. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the work you've done and how inspiring it is to see people of my political and, I guess, temporal disposition getting involved in politics. A few last things before you go. First of all, again, of course, thank you. Second of all, my girlfriend, please tell him I love his nail polish. That's from her mouth to your ears. I agree.
It's all screwed up right now, but yeah.
It is screwed up, but it's a nice color. And thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Best of luck in the upcoming primary.
You
Yeah, may you have many donos and many supportive voters. And I look forward to seeing how the rent strike turns out. I will try to participate in it to the best possible extent.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate you.
You're well.
Talk to you later. Bye.
If you guys want him to say trans rights, all you have to do is go to his Twitter. I'm pretty sure you're going to find it real quick. Can we acknowledge for the fact that I'm now at a point where, like, okay, wait. I do really like Joshua Collins. Can we acknowledge Joshua Collins asked me to come on? Isn't that so fucking cool? That's so fucking cool. We're getting up there. Can we get AOC on? I don't think that's gonna happen. That seems unlikely. AOC is very big. Okay, wait, hold on. First of all, shoe on head. Oh shit. Oh shit. Paul Resendez, there were some things you typed up in chat that I disagreed with that I was going to clarify anyway, but now that you've donated me an unreasonable amount of money, I will definitely double respond to that. But before everyone goes, hold on. We have donuts to read. Of course, one other thing, little point of drama, little smidgen of drama, small a mote of drama. Vosh, is he going to win? I'm afraid I do not have the power to answer that. Here, guys, Rem made this giant Twitter thread on how I'm ableist or something. I just saw like the first one, but it's a Twitter thread. I want to go through this really quickly, okay? I want to go through this really quickly. Because it is possible that I'm ableist. I want us to assess it, okay? I want us to assess it together. Okay? Are you all going to be with me as impartial judges to try to help me ascertain whether or not this is a valid concern? Okay, all right. Long and serious threat on the horrific ableism/threats I've been getting since yesterday. I was honestly shocked by the amount of people calling me a retard, saying I should kill myself, saying other horrific and usually ableist things. Found out today Vosh is enabling it. So this is really weird to me, because at no point during my discussion with him did I call him a retard or say he should kill himself, nor did I see anyone in chat doing it. Chat rees when I call people retards. Like, why would they do it? Maybe there are, like, people who watch the stuff who aren't, like, really a part of my community who said mean stuff to him, but I don't really know if I can be called responsible for that. Okay. First of all, I'm not here to play the victim. This has literally nothing to do with a conversation or who is more right in it. You can take away from the substance of that conversation who you think was correct. I'm not here to argue that. This is me addressing a still highly prevalent issue that exists amongst the dirtbag left in particular. Here we go. And how their creators enable that type of behavior against disabled individuals. I'm beginning a plethora of ableist/dehumanizing comments over the past day. Way more than I have ever gotten before from being on the Raj Rail or Destiny's stream. Someone today linked me this part of Vosh's stream when he made a blatantly ableist remark about me, and where he says, I quote, Rem gets like super triggered about ableism because he's autistic and he doesn't understand why his behavior makes everyone hate him, so he assumes it all boils downstream of them being ableist and that it's not because he's insufferable. Is that ableist? Maybe it's like callous. I don't think it's ableist though. So yeah, I remember this exact quote. I remember saying this. He gets super triggered about ableism, which he does. Rem cares about it a lot because he's which that's a mean thing to say, but I don't think it's ableist because he's autistic, which he is. And he doesn't understand why his behavior makes everyone hate him. I stand by that. It's possible that it's because of autism or maybe he just has the dipshit gene, but it's true. He is insufferable and people do talk shit about him and I don't think he understands why his behavior leans to that. So he assumes it all boils downstream of them being ableist, and it's not because he's insufferable. Now, this is just my interpretation of his behavior, but the way he's talked about ableist attacks against him in the past makes me feel like he interprets a lot of stuff that isn't really specifically ableist as being a product of ableism. Like, for example, like here's an example, okay? Okay, maybe this sounds a little bit callous. I'm going to say the R slur again, but I'm using it referentially, so please be understanding, okay? So, what to me, imagine I get in a debate with somebody, like a really big contentious debate. Maybe it's with Destiny, okay? Okay? I get in a debate with Destiny. And it's really angry and we're throwing shots. And later in Destiny's like YouTube comments, a bunch of people say like, "Oh, Vosh is retarded. Oh, what a retard." Like, "Oh, Vosh, wow, fucking Irish laddie, rapist, retard." I like that kind of stuff. Okay, like I get that, you know. So that's not exactly an unrealistic thing that would happen. I mean, that's kind of a part of internet blood sports and debate culture. But I think it would be disingenuous of me to interpret those insults as being ableist in the same way as directly calling me like an autistic retard to my face would be. Because I think while the slur retard is ableist, but I think there's a difference between the ubiquitous use of retard, which is in some contexts more callous than it is bigoted, and directly like telling like an autistic person like you're retarded because you're autistic. So like here's the difference to me. Yeah, that's true, Showenhead. Most insults are ableist. So here's the difference to me. Like this is maybe this is totally arbitrary, but this is where I would draw the line, okay? This is where I would draw the line. So if I debated like Rem, yeah, probably Lexify, but I'm trying to use this like referentially. If we could just like, I'm actually trying to have this discussion. So like, I get it. I'm using the R slur. Okay, let's pay attention. So I feel like if I saw a YouTube comment under the YouTube video where I debated Rem, and that person was like, "Dude, Rem's ideas are retarded," or like, "Rem's like whatever," like that, I guess it wouldn't bother me that much because it's just like saying he's stupid, you know. But if somebody in my chat or in the comments said, "Rem's an autistic retard, dude. Look at his autism. Have you seen his face? Like, look at him. Listen to the way he talks. Fucking doesn't even understand humans." Like, not only is that a difference in severity, I feel like it's a difference in kind because we're talking about the former being just a sort of ubiquitous representation of kind of ableist like derision, and the latter is like a very specific attack at Rem. And that's what I'm curious about because he's claiming like a bunch of people in my community like made like ableist comments, but I don't know what that means because I don't trust Rem. When he says make ableist comments, did he mean people said that Rem is dumb, or does he mean people are attacking him for his autism? Because I have autism and everyone in my community knows I have autism. So it would be really, really weird for people to like attack Rem for being autistic when I'm autistic, you know? But anyway, 1. I have never brought up my autism in a discussion unless someone makes a targeted ableist remark at me. I can think of maybe 3 times ever I've brought it up on stream, once in the Raj Royale and twice in the Mindwave podcast, where streamers have made directly ableist attacks on me related to my disability. I don't know if I like calling autism a disability, but I guess I'll let that slide. I have never brought up my autism as a way to understand why people dislike me or my rhetoric. I have never used my disability as an excuse to act like a dick to people. I would consider autism a condition, not a disability, but that's just how I've heard it described. So there are a few things I'm curious about here. First of all, um, I wasn't I wasn't really saying I don't think I was really making the comment that Rem weaponizes like his autism or his like condition or anything like that. I was just saying that he like assumes other people are being ableist when they're just kind of being mean, you know? And I remember there was a time back when Rem participated in Destiny's community more that Rem got really fucking angry at Destiny for not doing more to curtail the ableism in his community. But a lot of the ableism Rem was describing, in my mind, was just ubiquitous cruelty. Like, again, if you say something dumb on the internet and a bunch of people are like, you fucking idiot, dumbass, like, haha, retard, I don't know if that's the same thing as targeting you for your autism. I feel like there's a different level of severity there. I know that I would get more upset. I get called a retard all the time. Like, all the time. Are you kidding me with my job? All the time. And it doesn't hurt my feelings. But if somebody like was talking to me and they were like, "Hey, you know, you're talking to me the way you are, like it's pretty clear you're autistic. You fucking retard. Like you can't even fucking follow what I'm saying. It's just like robot program in there or something like that. Like you autistic retard." That would actually like hurt my feelings, I think, because then we're like impugning me in a more direct way than okay. I think I've repeated this point several times, but I don't know what Rem means when he talks about like targeted ableist remarks. Okay. And then he says, I have never brought up my autism as a way to understand why people dislike me or rhetoric. I'm not accusing him of having brought up autism. I'm like accusing him of over fixating on ableism as an excuse for why people respond negatively to his rhetoric. Okay. This blatant lie, and it is a lie, can't be backed up by anything. And if Vosh wants to keep peddling in this ableist bullshit, again, what have I said that's ableist? The only claim that he's made is one where I say he is overly willing to interpret criticism as ableism and that he doesn't understand why people don't like him. I don't know if that's ableist. I get that it's rude, but rude isn't bigoted. He can feel free to show an instance where I've ever done this. In fact, I've written repeatedly on my own behavior and how to be better. And in every single one of these posts, I have never excused myself due to my disability. I acknowledge harms I have caused and I try to make myself better after them. I haven't read this. I don't know. This disgusting lie, we're really like leaning in hard here. Jesus, we're really moralizing this comment that I made. That Vosh propagates is blatantly ableist because it diminishes the very real ableism and discrimination I face on a day-to-day basis as a disabled member of the streaming community. I do get called retard. I do get called autistic. I do get told I need to shut up because I don't have enough social skills to interact with people. To be fair, non-autistic people also get all of this if they're online. I'm really not trying to be diminutive here, but this is like everyone gets this. I need it demonstrated that people in my community are specifically targeting for his ableism rather than just being mean, you know? I get told I'm only in philosophy because I'm autistic and that the ideas I bring forth have no value because I can't empathize with anyone else in the world. I've certainly never said that. Oh, whoops. What did I just click? Sorry. I've certainly never made that argument. But so I don't know what I'm saying is blatantly ableist. Didn't you call him retard in reference on stream? No, trolls. At no point on stream did I call him retarded. It didn't happen. I make an active effort to not, like, I wouldn't do that if I felt a person, like, personally struggled with any kind of neurological, like, condition that they were sensitive about. Rem can be like an asshole with like, and it has nothing to do with his autism. Like, I don't have to target him on that. I can find plenty of other things to say. But if I call him like dumb, or if I say he gets like triggered easily and he frames that as autistic, like then I don't know what to do. But here, And I have never received more of these messages than after my discussion with Vosh last night. His blatant lies about me. I don't know what blatant lies we're talking about. My disability and my relationship with my disability and how it forms part of my identity is disgusting and ableist at its foremost. Yeah, neurodivergent, sorry. I feel like he's just loading this with like a fuck ton of moral weight that just isn't applicable. You know, like I don't think that I don't think that my because again the comment is right up here. I read it twice. I just don't know if this represents it well, and I don't know who in my community is sending these messages. I don't know. There were 5,000 people watching that stream. It seems likely people from Destiny's community who didn't like Rem were also participating. If there are people in my community who are telling Rem to kill himself or telling Rem that he's like an autistic retard or something, then like obviously that's fucking horrible. But you like save that energy for the Nazis. But you know, perhaps the YouTube chat. I guess I don't really have that good of an understanding of what YouTube chat is doing. The issue is because they're not like part of my community in the same way that my website chat is usually. But with that being said, I can't trust Rem's take on what is or is not blatant ableism. I don't trust his assessment. Okay. To Vosh, yeah, I do get triggered by ableism because I had to drop out of high school because of my autism. I had to live through years of my life where my family thought I could never even attend university at all. I basically didn't leave my house for an entire year. I had to undergo intensive clinical therapy to deal with the sensory challenges that I faced. I had to deal with emotions late in my life versus others who were able to tackle them early on. I still can't attend theaters or parks or concerts or conventions. And yet, despite that, I try my best to live in life and persist, and to hear people make these comments towards me when they have no idea what I've gone through or what I go through or what millions of disabled people go through does trigger me. Okay, so this is literally weaponizing ableism. This is weaponizing your autism. Nothing that I said invalidated or diminished his experiences. At no point in my quote that he found did I say that he never suffers on account of it. At no point did I say that he's making it up or faking it or anything like that. I have autism. I know it fucking sucks sometimes. I get it. Like, this is weaponizing it. That is exactly what he's doing right here. This is what he is doing. He is weaponizing it. I kind of feel bad for him. Yeah, I do. Like, it sucks, and I'm sure he has a lot of legitimate challenges that he's contended with. I don't think that excuses, like, this horseshit. And to reduce this offense to ableism as me using it as an excuse for me to justify poor behavior is not only a lie with zero evidence, but disgusting pathetic. I never said he uses his autism as an excuse for his behavior. I don't know why he keeps repeating this. This is the quote again. Rem gets like super triggered about ableism because he's autistic and he doesn't understand why his behavior makes everyone hate him, so he assumes it all boils downstream of them being ableist and that it's not because he's insufferable. That's not me accusing him of deliberately misrepresenting people's intentions towards him. That's me accusing him of not being able to discern legitimate criticism and ableist attacks. I don't think that. I mean, I can be wrong. I just don't think that this is like a lie. You know? I've never seen such blatant ableism from a supposed progressive YouTuber. Okay, dude, fuck off with the moralizing. Holy shit. How much crocodile tear juice can you pour into a goddamn tweet thread, dude? Holy fuck. I can't, like, swooning. Jesus. Go, you're suffering from consumption. Go to the fucking fainting couch and lie down for a second. Jesus Christ. Yeah, Shieldhead, exactly. Like, this shit makes autistic people look bad. Like, I'm autistic. I've suffered quite a bit from my autism. I worked really, really hard to develop social skills to compensate for my general inability to read social situations. But I did that on my own. Like, that was my choice. I worked for it. And while I'm not advocating being cruel to people who haven't been able to do what I've done, I don't think that, like, this is just like crybaby shit. Like, this just makes autistic people look fucking weak. Like, all you have to say is, oh, they're an asshole and they don't understand why people don't like them. And he goes on like a spree about how I'm a horrible, lying, ableist piece of shit. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, given it comes from someone who admitted that their goal coming into the discussion was to be mean. Dude, fuck off, okay? It was a joke in a fucking d.gg chat I was having with another fucking memer. I ended up trying my best to have a good faith conversation with him. I tried my best. I did my best. Really fucking sucks, and I wish people could grow some decency before stooping to such low levels. Attack my positions all you want, accuse me of being pretentious or being an asshole or whatever, but to accuse me of weaponizing my disability with zero proof, funny considering he does that in this tweet thread, is disgusting and you should be ashamed of yourself. All right. Okay, Rem. Nope. You're right. Don't engage. I forgot. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. 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 Thank you, Shu. Nope. Nope. You just did, though? Oh, by responding on stream, but I'm not giving him any tweet engagement. This guy is a, I completely forgot. This guy is a huge drama frog. Back during the, you guys remember the sexual harassment arc, right? Like the poppy pastel stuff. Rem was one of the most shameless drama baiters. He would, when I got unbanned from Destiny's community, he wrote out a 2,000 word screed on the forum about why Destiny is morally obligated to ban me again, and then every single time any of it would come up, he would make a tweet thread about it and call me like a predator or something. Like, he would bait engagement so fucking hard. It was fucking incredible. There were he would like bait me, and then I would respond, and every time I responded to him, he would quote tweet it. So he would say something like, "Hey Vosh," he like this isn't a joke. This is literally what happened. He would tweet out like, "Huh, Vosh, typical of you to behave this way when you're clearly avoiding blame and responsibility for your horrible crimes of sexual predation. What do you say?" And then I'll respond and I'll say like, "Dude, I'm not a fucking sexual predator. Like, can you please leave me alone?" And then he'll quote tweet it, he'll retweet quote it, and say, "Ha, typical of Vosh to avoid accepting any responsibility for his crimes in sexually subjugating these underage girls." And I'll respond like, "Nobody was underage, like, and I didn't sexually subjugate anyone." And then I'll respond, "More gaslighting from the pernicious Vosh." Like, God, like, fuck me, dude. Nah, this dude, like, 100% lives for the fucking bait. Thank you, shoe on head. Dude, these shorts are so fucking small. Every time I sit in this chair with them, I think these shorts are really cute, but like, they're like so short, dude. Holy fuck, look at this. They like ride up like everything. It's crazy. Here, let me get the window open. Yeah. Or is there gonna be like kids outside? Nope, there are kids outside. Well, here. All right, here we go. We can barely hear them. I can hear them. Guys, it's just a fucking tight pair of shorts. You fucking coomers in chat. Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you people? Holy fuck. Oh my god. Confirmed! Vosh has a penis! It's showing in the tight clothing he's wearing. Holy shit, you guys. The fuck? Okay, let me read donations, but I'm going to start with Paul Resendez's, Paul Resendez with the this is insane. 2 donations with the unbelievably generous $100 donation. I really want to like this guy, but he sounds like every financially and economically illiterate leftist I've ever heard on Twitch. And with the additional $50, thank you. How can I reconcile supporting leftists when I cringe at their lack of knowledge about how our financial system works? Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay, so this is in response to like landlords being cucks or whatever. So I want to say this because you were making several comments in chat about how there's nothing illegitimate or wrong with people making an upfront or initial investment that they later pay off through the leasing of that property or item to other people. And under normal circumstances, I don't necessarily disagree. For example, if you have like a tow truck or like U-Haul, for example, U-Haul. You buy the trucks, that's the upfront investment, and then you rent them to other people, and they use that product, and then they bring it back to you. You make your money back off of owning and maintaining this fleet, you know? That makes sense to me. I think that's a good business model. The ultimate problem, though, is that human shelter, a house, is A, something every human being needs, or I guess that every human being should have. I guess we don't all need it, but we should have it. B, something that is finite. C, something that we can only fit a finite number of within a given area. And D, something for which most people would have very little elasticity with regards to their ability to make financial decisions because there are a huge number of like confounding factors that go into our willingness to go into a house. Like it's not just what the house costs or what the rent is, you know? Ultimately, like what a landlord is somebody who through no labor and through no improvement to society is able to make enormous amounts of money off the back of others. Landlords don't do anything at all. Landlords, what do landlords do? Like sometimes like a pipe will break and you call them and then they call a plumber. Like, okay, cool. They don't contribute any meaningful wealth to society. They don't contribute any labor. They don't contribute anything. All they were the people with the initial upfront capital necessary to purchase homes and then put them out on the market and rent them, and then you manage like the financials of that. But what that means effectively is that the system of land ownership is a system by which we prioritize the economic well-being of people who are lucky enough to secure capital to invest initially, and everyone else is just kind of shit out of luck, you know? Most people, especially nowadays, are never going to have the wealth to buy their own homes. It's it's just a rough market for that sort of thing. Oh yeah, shoe on head. Well, that's another thing. I've never said kill all landlords. There's only one landlord I've ever said needs to be killed, and that's Dan Hark Dan No Japan Big Man. And he and I are friends, and I've rescinded that claim. But with that being said, the way landlords are an inevitable consequence of the financial system we have today. And while that financial system is usually not hyper destructive, I don't believe that, for example, the U-Haul lending industry is like hyper exploitative by nature. Of course, they exploit their workers, surplus value, blah, blah, but like it's fine, whatever. Okay. But there's something specifically very wrong with landlords, you know, something particularly fucked up. I don't think a system which allows people to make unbelievable amounts of money just by arriving at the capital first is a good system. And I think hold on. Landlords had to work and save enough money to purchase the house. Yeah, but a key problem with real estate is that perpetually low interest rate below house valuations force landlords to jack up rent to earn a return. Yeah, okay, but then that's not an argument. They're still not doing anything. Like, that's still just them investing. A landlord isn't doing any work. They may do work to get the capital to purchase a home, but that's not them. That's the actual landlord part isn't working. So landlords and property managers are different things. Sometimes their definitions tend to overlap colloquially, though. I'm not disparaging the process of working hard to get that initial capital, but I disagree with using initial capital to snowball into additional wealth with no effort on your own in other circumstances as well. After all, would you guys call being a stockholder work? I mean, you had to save up money to buy the stocks initially, but after that, you're just coasting. The only thing you have to do is make a couple of intelligent decisions when it comes to when to sell, when to buy, consolidate, whatever, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, you're just chilling. Landlords need to maintain the property. Find me 100 rentiers and ask them how many of them have landlords who adequately upkeep the property. Oh, sorry, wait, that was a too antagonistic. I'm sorry. I'm in the mood. I apologize. Yes. Okay. So even though it takes work to get the wealth, to get the stocks initially, the actual process of making money off the stocks, I don't think that's work. I just don't consider it work, you know? Maybe managing stocks can be work, like if that's your job, but that's because you're doing something. The actual process of making money off the stocks is not labor. You're just taking advantage of a system that is giving you money. But here's the difference. Stocks are made of magic. They are infinite and they are non-existent. They are imaginary. We create stocks. Land is real. Land physically exists. It is in the world. And what that means then, and what's more, it's a necessity, whereas stocks are not. What this means then, fundamentally, is that the weird hypocrisy of being able to make money without any labor invested isn't really that toxic when it comes to stock ownership. Though it does get toxic later, but that's more complicated. Whereas home ownership is specifically fucked in this regard. Just imagine if every other necessary commodity was treated that way. Imagine if, like, every computer in the world had already been bought by a millionaire and you could never buy it. You just have to rent it from them and you just pay that rent forever. Remember Zoom? Remember Microsoft Music rather than Apple? You don't buy a song, you just buy a subscription. Remember remember Right to Repair? Like how John Deere or John Doe or whatever and other like equipment companies are suing to keep people from repairing their products because they believe they have like a perpetual ownership over the intellectual property. Really fucking bad stuff happens when people rely on things that aren't theirs, especially when that stuff gets expensive. Paul Rosenda said. True, being a landlord doesn't intrinsically mean being a worker, but what investments are intrinsically immoral? I could be persuaded to decommodify housing, but how could you persuade me financial instruments are immoral? Well, that's the thing. I think that housing is specifically fucked. I think that like renting in houses is like that's like a specific, because of the necessity, because of the inherent finite nature of land. I think that's like a particular wrong. You know what I mean? I can live with other forms of investment. I don't care. Guys, I have made so much money from this channel. I could like invest if I wanted to. I wouldn't like I don't care. You guys can invest if you want. There are people in chat who give me a lot of money. Paul Resendez just gave me $150. I know he has money, okay? So he can invest if he wants, okay? So I don't care about that. But the process of owning something necessary to human survival and then doling it out on a month-by-month basis is, to me, with the specific context of our financial system as it exists now, a problem. I don't think there's any ethical way to manage housing apart from the decommodification. I agree, government should take over estate development. Please listen, I am not a tanky. I am not somebody who advocates for the nationalization of industries. I never do it. Guys, seriously, how often on this channel have I argued to nationalize industries? Like, really though, like how often do I bring that up? I'm always going back to worker ownership, collective ownership. I say I don't trust the government to have that power because I'm an anarchist, I'm suspicious of the state. You know? I don't do it. But with housing specifically, I do think you would need that level of decommodification. I think that the government could work to build houses as they felt were necessary. The government has an incentive to do so because the government is... because the government gets more taxes for more economically prosperous citizens, and economically prosperous citizens need better housing and more housing. You can't just let people be on the streets. It doesn't help anyone. So the government would have an incentive to manage the production, development, and ownership of this property. And then if you wanted to live at a given place, you would either pay nothing, or you could pay, or there would be like a rationing system for houses, or you could pay like a very flat stipend, like a very, very, very minimal level of investment. Or you could argue like every citizen gets like this many house points, or like a family gets this many house points, something. There are a million solutions. I would like to lean away from financial solutions to it. I don't want people to have to pay for money. Which government? What is the government? An anarchist state? Well, in a Libraven, in an anarchist society, it would be like a syndicate would manage this. Like it would be like a giant mega housing union that would be collectively owned by the workers. But in our society, I will argue it. I want the United States government to nationalize housing. That's a really tough bullet to bite, and it would there would be a lot of problems that would come from that. But I think the problems that would come from that are capable of being solved, and what's more, I think they are less severe than the problems we have now. That's my argument. Anyway, Paul Resendez, I didn't mean to come off as like disrespectful or calling you out or anything. That is the argument that I'd lend. It is an issue that I find interesting. I don't think, I do also want to say, keep in mind, you said earlier, like, how am I supposed to support lefties if they seem like they don't know what they're talking about economically? Keep in mind, most people have no fucking idea what they're talking about economically. If you listen to what Republicans will try to pass as good business practice, these people are fucking insane. It just seems like most people are bad at it, but we're more willing to impugn lefties for being economically illiterate because they're more outside the system, because they're more, they draw more attention to their positions, you know what I mean? So I'm not excusing it. I would like lefties to be very, very economically disciplined, but just, just recognize that this is like a pretty common fault. Of course, Paul Resendez, thank you so much for asking. I really appreciate it. Tristan the Bard, I love you, but I am so overbooked in debates right now. I have another debate in 2.5 hours. Fuck! I have another debate in 2.5 hours. I wanted to play video games today. Hold on, we gotta read donations. Then I'm gonna end stream at 5 o'clock p.m. PST. I'm debating the neoliberal Bastiat. I don't even know what we're debating, okay? It's gonna be great, all right? Come on, I'll make this pre-stream the moment this stream is done, but first, I have to read this. Could you maybe explain how collective ownership, how it works exactly? Lavia Lee, I promise you that in the near future, I will do a video on it, okay? It's been something that I've been meaning to do. I don't have a single video on my channel of why I'm a socialist, which is really weird. I've put out 300 plus videos, and I haven't put out that video. Really, really weird. I promise I'll do it soon. It will include an answer to that question. I love you, comrade. Let me read donos. Also, Shoenhead, happy to have you here as well. Always love seeing you in chat. Dredge with the $2. One day I'll go through every single VOD and make a compilation of your chewing noises. Every time from that one time you ate a burrito with ketchup, heathen, to that bagel. Hey, go for it, comrade. People love that ASMR shit. Cartoon Maymays, the tier 1 sub. I said one day and that day is today. Pepe, now you have the power of dicks. I'm sure Jolt Fligl will appreciate it, comrade. Morgan's on with the tier 1 sub. Look, I just want to spam dicks and other emotes. That's all I do. True, and Horse Me with the $2. My country is under healthcare collapse, martial law, foreign invasion, IMF austerity, massive droughts, and wildfires. Did I mention the fire is radioactive? And with the additional $2, also my cat is dying and I can't do much about it, so none of you fuckers go doomer before me. Fucking true! That's that's the truest shit I ever heard. You horse me's out here fucking dying in a fucking apocalypse. Their cat's dying, radioactive fire, and you fuckers are gonna get all sad because Bernie didn't win? Get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah, true. True, pedicure for all now. Guys, yeah, my channel has been exploding lately. Hypers, if you joined up in the past month, like, joined up, I'm sorry, this isn't a cult, my apologies. Hypers, if you, subbed in the last month. I saw, like, a ton of people in chat mentioning earlier, like, I've barely been here, you know? Oh, that's 1, that's 2, that's 4. You know what, 4's enough. This isn't a cult. We'll get there, okay? Sophie Snoop with a tier 3 sub. Thank you, comrade. 1 minute early. Yeah, true. And thank you very much. And Sake Tanuki with the $5. I just watched yesterday's stream. I want 2 hours of my life back. That Rem the Bath Salt Boy stole with unbelievable idiocy. You know what sucks? I felt like this is my bias. I felt like the debate with Rem the Bath Boy was fucking hilarious. But the entire time people in chat were saying it was boring and that the video hasn't gotten many views relative to the other videos that I do, which really sucks because I really fucking love those debates. I love just shit. I just like going back at it, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's gotten like half the normal view amount for this time period. I mean that stuff happened. I'm not like salty or anything. I can't complain about success, but yeah, then what's the point? It's just I really like it was infuriating. I love the blood. I love the blood. So that's what I'm here for. Lefty L48 with tier 2 sub. That freshman philosopher is super fucking unhelpful. Hilarious that you embarrassed him in his and my field. This is why I hate ethicists. Stick with Camus. I just don't like discussing meta ethics. It's so fucking weird. I don't want to discuss meta ethics. I don't get it. How does this help Oh yeah. Ask Yourself's community Discord. The entire time I was talking with Rem, Ask Yourself's Discord was adding me saying like, lol, you're getting owned. Lol, fucking idiot. Lol, check yourself. Lol, you need to engage in some self-crit, bro. AY's community is super fucking toxic, dude. I used to think that AY was pretty cool, if like maybe a little bit insufferable, but I think he's kind of like a really bad faith cunt now, and he's developed the worst community. This is the thing that I'm worried about, and I want to make sure you guys never do this. Just because I like debating, and just because I like blood sports, doesn't mean you guys need to turn into a bunch of degenerate fucking simps who live only to like seek joy in the tears of your enemy, and to like fucking screech that I TFO'd every single person that I talk to. I like the fact that my community is fairly critical of me. I really appreciate that. I don't want to get weak. But I think it's a sign of weakness to try and curtail your community in such a way to avoid those types of criticisms. Now, there are some types of criticisms you can, like, let go. I don't need, like, Nazis in here telling me I'm a Jew or whatever, but, like, you know, real criticism I think is important. Zidonian with a tier 1 sub. Orange name good, actually. True! And Lexify with the $2. You are not an anarchist. I've spoken to your audience. No one believes you're actually an anarchist. Every subject you debate in your channel usually comes with. Yeah. Hey guys, speaking of fucking memery, have you all been to my my subreddit? My subreddit has actually started to get like fairly active. Like every day there's usually a post with 100 or 200 upvotes, which is really cool. So like that's just really rad. It's not really nice seeing. You guys should check out the Reddit sometime. You know, there's a lot of good memes here. I read pretty much everything that is put there. Sake Tanuki with the $5. Also, to equate mathematical 2-2 proof, it is actually based in an actual proof of 1 + 1 = 2 that was done by Bertrand Russell in 1910 to Psychology is Madness. Isn't Bertrand Russell an actor? Am I being memed on right now? Are there 2 Bertrand Russells and one of them is an actor and one of them is a mathematician? Okay. The Crimson Drummer with the $5. Just watched your debate with Rem and it made me hate moral realists. Haha, true. And Sake Tanuki with the additional $5. The sheer number of ways in which mathematics repeatedly proves itself regardless of numerical base systems isn't comparable with psychological epistemics. Yeah, I wish I could have talked a little bit more with him, like, on the math thing, you know? Like, for example, math only functions if you believe in causality, right? Like, but to believe in causality is meta-ethical. It's like a subjective decision. You can't prove it exists. You know what I mean? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Oh, I was thinking of like Russell Crowe, sorry. Okay, guys, do you believe in causality? Here's my argument. There's no way to empirically prove that causality exists. However, we basically have to pretend that we know it exists, because if we don't, we couldn't make meaningful statements about the world. So, like, for example, here's a little tin of Altoids, right? If I let go of it, it with surprising volume drops. Now, how do you know that me letting go of it had anything to do with it falling? Well, I let go of it, so gravity was the friction force of my fingers was released, and only the gravity force. Well, no, just because those things are correlative doesn't mean that they're causatively associated. You saw it. You saw my fingers open, and you saw an Altoids tin can fall. You can't prove those things are directly correlated or directly causatively linked. It's not possible. There's no proof for it, because any proof for causality relies on causality. So, but anyone who doesn't believe in causality, like, would be a lunatic. Like, you couldn't even engage with them. Like, they'd be completely irrational. So you can't prove causality, but you have to accept causality in order to have meaningful engagements with the world. And if you don't want to, like, fine, I can't prove you wrong, but, like, fucking okay, enjoy the inside of a padded cell, you know? That's my argument. Time is also subjectively perceived, you know? What is time, you know? Time, the passage of time is relative. There have been people who have said the only reason everything doesn't happen at once is because our brain isn't capable of processing it. But time passes at different rates for different animals, which is really, really strange. It's relative, but it's relative in more than just that sense. It's relative in a broader sense, too, because our perspective of other things, and our definitions of what, like, it means to be a second, an hour, what have you, and therefore a wide, like, a huge swath of cultural, social, and even mathematical concepts are dependent on something that we've had to set an arbitrary line for. What is a second? What is the right movement of time? Like, what is the correct rate at which time moves? There's actually no answer to it. Look in the books if you want to. There is no correct pace at which time moves. Time moves at 1 second per second, no matter what you are, no matter where you are in the universe. But what does that mean? And a second changes. The point that I'm getting at is that I think there are a lot of questions that are meta-ethical that you can't really have meaningful conversations on because you can't prove anything because it's all fucking outside of our ability to empirically verify. Empirical verification is also something that relies on some foundational, like presuppositional beliefs that we can't necessarily prove because it also relies on causality. Okay, that's the point I'm making. Guys, are there any philosophers in chat who disagree with me? These are all part of metaphysics, not metaethics. True, they're metaphysics, not metaethics, but I don't think we can make comments on metaphysic, like meta things, you know? Or I don't think we can prove meta things because they're outside our ability to empirically verify them. And even then, empirical verification depends on presuppositional belief that you can't empirically justify because you need it to justify empiricism, you know? But yes, that's true. That's metaphysical, not metaethical. What are meta-analyses? Well, a meta-analysis is just a type of study, so that's fine. Sake Tanuki with the $5. Thank you. I can't tell you how much I wanted to rip into Rem over how he was equating the principles of the technology he was using to talk you with the philosophical concepts. Yeah, I did a bunch of reading last night because I felt like I owned Rem, but I don't know. So I want to like go over stuff. I feel like I own Rem, but I don't know. So I want to like read and like learn and make sure that I'm not just like an idiot. I never want to think that like I'm just competent at speaking so I can get away with being wrong. Like I can just talk with like a philosopher and they can be like, "Oh, well, you see the meta-ethical inquiry of the state of reality." And I can be like, "You fucking idiot, you dumbass, you fucking moron, idiot." And then everyone applauds because I'm very funny. And then I leave and I feel like I won, but I didn't. I just didn't engage. So I'm trying to read. Yeah, okay, Libraven, I agree with that, but I feel like that leads pretty. I feel like that leaves like innately leads to moral anti-realism, where I don't think you can. I don't think there's any moral fact of the world, but I believe that with regard to certain frameworks, you could make moral claims which are factual. Yeah, Rem won the debate because he made me read. Swampa with the $2. Howie Hawkins 2020 vote green. True! And Arabian, what are meta ethics? Meta ethics are statements on ethical principles that are outside the world. It's meta, it's outside. It's like, here's an ethical statement. We shouldn't murder people. Okay, that's an ethical statement. Okay, a meta-ethical statement would be something like there exists in this world moral fact that somewhere in this world we can empirically determine moral validity. That would be meta-ethical because that's not something that you could empirically verify. It would be yeah, an investigation of what an ethical statement is, exactly. Also, what exactly is an ethical statement? Like, what is or isn't... Yeah, it's normative ethics versus meta-ethics. That's not a good way to define it. Yeah, I recognize my limitations here, okay? Normative ethics is the shit that I'm interested in because that's what I do on my channel. Normative ethics. Is it right or wrong to do this? Is it good or bad to do this? What is good? What is just, okay? But meta-ethics is like this like pulled back like, well, what does it mean to be good? What does it mean to be just? Like you go back like past axioms. Axioms for me, because I'm a moral anti-realist, are the foundational belief that I justify everything from. So here's my example. Okay, I'm almost done with this. Okay. So here's my example with this. Okay. Okay. So here's an axiom. All right. Very simple one. I believe in maximizing human well-being. Let's just ignore animals for a second. Human well-being. Okay. Oh, thank you, Lefty Elf. I'm just trying to figure stuff out. So that's my axiom. Okay, watch this, okay? Now let's back up a few steps, okay? Watch this, okay? Watch this. Here's me, Vosh, and here next to me, being stood in by a thing of calcium gummies, which are very tasty, right here, is like a black person, okay? I don't know. It was the next thing to my left, okay? And so I'm gonna play the moral agent, all right? Okay. So I'm the moral agent, all right? Walking down the street. Whoa, is that a black person? Black people are bad. Okay, that's the scene. Now I step in and I say, whoa, you shouldn't punch black people and say black people are bad. And then that person, who we'll call the puncher, or the racist, how about we just call them the racist, okay? The racist says, why is it bad to punch black people? And then I say, because it's bad to be racially discriminatory. And to which they say, why is it bad to be racially discriminatory? To which I say, because it hurts humans to be racially discriminatory. Because there's no reason why you should treat black people worse than white people. To which they would say, why do I need a reason to treat black people worse than white people? To which I would say, because you usually want to frame your decision making in the context of verifiable statements. You don't usually want to do things without reason, especially if those things hurt people. To which they would say, why do I care about hurting people? To which I would say, because you clearly do fundamentally care about hurting people, because you have a child and a wife and you seem to get along well with them. You obviously care about being good to people under most circumstances. You just seem to mind black people, which is irrational. To which they can say, why does it matter whether or not my dislike for black people is rational? To which I would have to say, because rationality is a foundational principle upon which we build human society. To which they say, why do I need to align my beliefs with the foundational principle that, and I, like, it never, like, eventually, like, there's no back wall. You don't reach the end. There isn't an end. At the end of the day, all I can really say, if I'm asked, is why do you think it's okay? Why do you think it's a good thing to benefit humans or to maximize the well-being of humans? All I can say is because I feel like that's right. Would you describe yourself as a non-cognitivist or an error theorist? I would probably say a non-cognitivist, right? I don't think that if I would claim all moral claims are false, then I would be claiming there's a standard by which I could judge the rightness or wrongness or validity of a moral statement, right? But if I was a non-cognitivist, I would just say that there's no way to independently or empirically verify the validity of a moral statement, I think. If I'm making a mistake, like, please, you're a non-cognitivist if you think moral statements have no truth value, then yes, okay, then I would agree with that. Error theory is that they're all coherent but wrong. Interesting. Okay, I would really want to read up more on non-cognitivism and error theory before I felt comfortable, but right now non-cognitivism seems a little bit more explanatory to me. The point that I'm getting at, the point that I'm trying eventually to get at here, is that at the end of the day, all I have is my axioms. I can't justify them any beyond that. If somebody asks me, why do you think it's good to prioritize human well-being? All I can say is, because I want to, because I feel like that's right. But here's the secret. You can have meaningful conversations about normative ethics as long as you agree on a similar framework with another person. Normative ethics, should we or should we not punch black people? You can engage with other people on this, and there can even be moral facts in the context of achieving certain end goals. This is relativism, not non-cognitivism. I would definitely have to read before I felt comfortable labeling myself. But let's say I meet another person and they agree we should maximize human well-being. Bam! Bam, bam, bam. Now I can talk with them. If a person other than myself agrees we should maximize human well-being, now everything I can argue with them on is empirical. Why is it bad to be racist? Because racism ends up facilitating the existence of social systems which end up reifying human unhappiness. Bam! Why is it bad for me to punch black people? Because that person has a right to bodily autonomy, which should be preserved for all people, because making distinguishing alignments along who deserves bodily autonomy ends up to people being unjustly discriminated against. Bam! If we agree on a fundamental axiomatic framework, I can have moral conversations with people. If a person has a different moral framework, so different that I don't even have an overlap with them, I can't do that. Now, here's the secret, guys. When I was talking with Rem the Bath Boy, and he was saying, and I kept saying, like, well, if I disagreed with someone, I would just have to kill them, I was being a little bit flippant here. But here's the truth of it, folks. Imagine you meet a person whose only axiomatic value is to maximize human suffering. That's it. Their entire worldview, all their moral beliefs are flipped upside down from what mine would be. So they believe if they can get away with murdering or raping people, they're going to do it because it makes people suffer. If they can get away with they still want to live a long life because the longer they live, the longer they can make other people suffer. How could I argue with this person? How could I convince them that what they're doing is wrong? The answer is that you can't. It's not possible. You can't. They just have a different framework. Bonk. Yes. Bonk. Bonk. But the secret is, and here's my deep down belief, while I don't believe there is a single morally correct axiom, I don't think there's like an empirically correct axiom, most, if not all human beings do basically agree on maximizing human well-being. They just disagree on what well-being means and what human means. Racists, or I guess really severe misogynists or transphobes, will usually argue with me over what it means to be human, to deserve rights, and most people differ in their understanding of what it means to have well-being. But this goes all the way across the board, even with Nazis. Most Nazis, in their own way, believe in maximizing human well-being. Most Nazis believe in a sort of highly reductivist inter-ethnic game theory, where white people have to fight for their own survival or they're going to end up being destroyed by others. But ultimately, they care about maximizing well-being for white people, and a lot of them will also argue black and brown people would do better if they just got along well in their own countries, free from the, superior white influence or whatever, that cultures need not mix. Now, these beliefs tend to be incoherent, but on a fundamental level, they do often believe in human happiness as a good. And that means I can reach them argumentatively, even without the bonk. Often, though, just because we have some overlap, this doesn't mean that I can cross the bridge entirely and get them to stop being a Nazi. This is moral realism? No, nothing that I'm describing right now is moral realism. Alfredo, I don't even understand what you're typing. I'm afraid I would have to do more research before I felt comfortable. Like I said, guys, I know we're all at the doctors. We're trying to prescribe me here. But I would like to do more research before I felt comfortable. If you believe you can put moral claims like murder is wrong into a syllogism and get a valid conclusion, you're a moral realist. No, but I didn't say that. I don't believe that. I only think that murder is wrong for me. I only believe that murder is wrong with regards to certain subjectively held axiomatic frameworks. I don't believe that it's intrinsically wrong. I don't think it can be intrinsically wrong. I don't think anything is intrinsically wrong or bad or good. Okay, we have to finish donuts. I have a debate in 2 hours and I have to eat. Okay, Loaf Cat with the $5 trying to get into a new hobby. Please let me know what you think. Physically flawless. Well done. It's me and Artemy. I think you're confusing the divide between moral objectivism and relativism. With moral realism and anti-realism, Marxism is an ethical position grounded in moral realism. Yeah, but I'm not a Marxist. Marx was a modernist. I'm a postmodernist. Postmodernists tend to agree a little bit more with me, I think. Okay. If you have any concerns, please email me. Please, God, I'll do the reading that I can, okay? Please, I'll try to read. Okay, I'm sorry. Please. I regret bringing this up. Arabian Anarchy with the $5. Sub Vosh couldn't really donate because I'm a bit broke right now. But by the time you read this, I'm at work, so this is an Anon Poggers. Nice, comrade. Please never donate if you don't have the money to. I love you and appreciate you. Big Dick Wilson with Tier 1 sub. Finally, I have the money to sub again from working at a gas station, so if I die sub to Vosh. Why are you all making me sad today? What the fuck? Thank you. Dr. Chef with the 308. Noam Chomsky and Richard Wolff just reviewed my dad's upcoming book, Blood and Money. Check it out. Wait, really? Wait, that's sick, though. They just reviewed it? Son of a bitch. That's Noam Chomsky and that's Richard Wolff. Wait, that's actually, fucking rad. Here, I'll keep that in mind. David767 with the $2. Conservacucks. The left wants big government. Comrade Josh, let's abolish ICE, the CIA, the NSA, and Border Patrol. True! Ben Riley with the $2. Most autistic people aren't like that. Trust me, I know. Insomnio Stad with the $5. We're beginning to defeat the libs. Comrades unite. We're working on it, comrade. David with the $2. I took a look at Joshua's positions online and I agree with most except guns. I think it'd be best if he got someone experienced with guns to help with policy. What, is he like anti-gun? I think a lot of lefties are. Or is he like super pro-gun? I don't know. Derek IT Pro with the $5. I've been slowly going through your Politics 101 video from the bottom of my 34-year-old baby leftist heart. I thank you for putting it together. I'm really glad you enjoy it, comrade. I made that video almost a year ago and it seems like I still have a lot to learn when it comes to philosophy and my ability to integrate political theory into my philosophy positions. Joshua's anti-gun? Interesting. My Politics 101 video is something I'm really, really proud of, though. I think it still holds up pretty well. Didgeridoo Man with the $5. If the left agreed to standards to how to bonk the right, like a diamond sword or something, wouldn't that be a based action? Asking for a friend. And greetings from the first country that engaged fascists since 1918. Aufmerksamkeit sieht Hyperaktivitätsstörung. Yeah, read that out, based God. I did my best, comrade. I'm sure maybe one person will understand what I said. I did my best. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Oh, Sanson.com with $5. I just watched the REM debate, and while I don't agree with anti-realism, I think it accurately characterizes your positions. REM was 100% terrible and useless. Yeah, I just wanted to learn from him. I like learning. It's really, really fun for me to learn from people, especially if it's not like a stuffy academic setting. I want to learn from someone who I can call like a moron to their face, you know? I can do that with REM, but I couldn't learn anything from him. Why are there orange gems on my glasses? They're little plastic beads that Hyena put on there literally like a year ago. They're just on there with tape and they've stuck on ever since and I've never taken them off. Zekia Lezi with a tier 1 sub. Hey Vosh, I am a Muslim immigrant in Italy and your streams and channel are the highlights of my day. A lot. I hope you're doing well, inshallah. Oh, fuck yeah, comrade. Inshallah. I hope you're doing well. Thank you. I really appreciate the kind words. King Momo with the $5. I am the Vosh to your destiny. I will dethrone you one day, comrade. Love you though. Ree. True, I've got a lot of usurpers milling about in chat. Ben Riley with the $5. It's Nick Wilde syndrome, if you understand what that means. Nick Wilde? Is that the guy from Zootopia? Yes, it is. But you spelled it differently. You spelled it with a Y. I don't know who Nick Wilde with a Y is. A Stanton Chase executive recruiter? I don't know. Did you just misspell it? I don't know. Oh, because like you keep perceiving other people to dislike you because of a particular insecurity that you have because he was like a predator or something. I've seen so much porn of Nick Wilde. Num Num with the $5, investing in 1 share of Vosh. Good. It'll pay back big time. And John Hamling with the £5. Check out your local tenant unions. Mind helping me improve hygiene requirements in my apartment complex? Very true. There's a lot of good stuff that you can do if you just mill about and see if there's anyone doing praxis in your area. Vamonos the Fox, the $5. I just love how right-wingers will unironically bring up JQ shit over and over, again while spewing that Hitler was a socialist nonsense. That's just... I don't know if I've seen that actually. I feel like if a conservative has gone mask off enough to start shilling for the JQ, they're usually one of the people who says like, yeah, Hitler was a conservative based. You know what I mean? But I guess there are probably people in the interstice of those points. You know what I mean? Accidetti with the $5. We should all chip in for a Vosh AC fund. Also can't wait for the coin flip of an election this November. I really do need to get an AC. I just hope it's not too loud. I just don't want it to pick up in the fucking mic background. Maybe I could just use it like before and after stream, so it just fixes, like it's colder faster? I don't know. Spectre with a gifted tier 1 sub. There's a Spectre haunting v.gg/subscription. The Spectre of Cumulism. Lib Raven says hypers. Liberasm hypers. I can't believe you gave a dono to like my anti-fan, Lib Raven. How dare you? It's nice to see them in a yellow name though. Pessimist with the $5. I grew up around autistic people. They didn't do all this, but I often saw them using autism to shield themselves from when people said they were insufferable. I think that's just fundamentally a human thing. I think that's just a thing humans do. I don't think that's like an autism specific thing. I know, Lib Raven, I'm teasing. I love you too. I think like fundamentally people just like look for excuses, you know? Ben Riley with the $2. You seem like an absurdist, actually. Well, I did always agree with Sartre on that point, so. And Red Eye Sam with the $2. Man, where do the people come up with them words? I don't fucking know. Philosophers and scientists have always been shit at naming things. Ben Riley with the $5. I'm an indeterminist. Look up fictionalism. Those are two new words that I now have to read and look up. I need to look up, like, the dictionary of philosophy or something. I'll get around to it. Bob Ross with the $5. Why not cooperative ownership of housing, municipal land ownership gang? I would be fine with that as well. Yeah, I just think that it would be much harder to like do on a nationwide scale, because you'd have to have like local area. Yeah, but I'm not opposed to that. Yeah, yeah. As long as it's not what it currently is. Posadas John with the $2. I have to call you out. Oh no. Haha. Glad you guys got something out of this. I'm glad you guys got something good out of this copy pasta. I'm glad I chose to write it out. I've always wanted to have a community with its own memes. The Chaos card with the $2. Don't let Rem mischaracterize moral realism. He's eroding a significant field of philosophy into straw men and elitism. I don't need you to tell me Rem is elitist, but I do need other people to tell me how he's misrepresenting moral realism. I'm going to have to go through it. Lord Viren with the $5. I'm a physicist, and a second actually has a standardized definition, but I know what you mean. And a second actually has a standardized definition. Oh, okay, yeah, like a second point of thing. Yeah, I'm sure a second is probably like this many quartz crystal vibrations within a, or something like that. Like the time it takes a quartz crystal to vibrate 48,000 times when subjected to an electric field of 0.16 amps or something. I don't know. They probably have like a standard thing. But what I mean to say is like our concept of a second, while not. Nothing. I've lost the train of thought. Never mind. I don't know philosophy. Never mind. Forget it. Kane with the $5. Meta-ethics is literally ideals over reals. Meta-ethics is essentially irrelevant to plain old human suffering, so I think you can just argue from there safely. I do think meta-ethical discussions are probably useful in some contexts, but I would also say, like, you can probably do a fuckload of good in the world sticking purely to normative ethics, you know? Ben Riley with the $10. The stock market is just another form of gambling. It just isn't taxed. I think you focus too much on the means of production regarding capitalist critiques and not the means of consumption, which they also control. I think that's probably a valid criticism. That's probably something that I could look to dig into a little bit more. Fallibilists? Gotcha, Hans Flammenwerfer. Fallibilists. Haven't heard that term before. Maybe. Quirk Quartz, the tier 1 sub. Who? Started trying my hand at YouTube thanks to you and Xander. Wish me luck and thanks for the inspiration, comrade. Times for immense self-inflicted stress hypers. It is very stressful, but it can be rewarding. Good luck, comrade. I hope it works out. The Chaos card with the $5. Love your content. Not sure if you got my email about Dr. Carrier and my mischaracterization. He's a moral realist. Yeah, of course. I responded to that email before I even get fucking starting this stream, you piece of shit. Check your fucking emails. David769 with the $2. Be honest, Fosh, do you think the left will win if we stay active and don't let our guard down and keep working at the local, state, and federal level? I don't have any opinions on whether or not we're going to win long term. Only hopes. Snared Insomniac with the incredibly kind $10. Wow, I wonder what Professor Vosh's next lesson will be. So happy to be accepted to the School of Gifted Degens. I was just rambling. Do you guys think that I should like clip that? Like YouTube segment that? The thing that I did talking about? I'm not philosophically educated enough to feel like that comfortable making these claims. I don't know. Hold on. Why is the thing so... No? Come on. I feel like... This feels better. Okay, I think this is better. Yeah. Okay, the angle is good now. Camera's crooked? Not that crooked. Tilted? There. David with the $2. I believe that integrity, honesty, authenticity, honor, loyalty to the cause, and being genuine are essential things to the left's success. Would you agree? Yeah, at least some of those things. I don't know if I don't like the term loyalty that much, and I'm not sure if authenticity is politically like useful, but they're probably good things, right? Will LaCroix with the $5. Hey Vosh, I hate you because you make my head hurt, but please never change. Thanks, comrade. And Linak with the $5. Please Google what your real name is. It is an amusing result. Yeah, I heard. Wait, yeah, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't get the same results that you guys do. But I saw a clip of somebody saying that, like, you Google what is my name and it brings up Stephen Beneblo. Didgeridoo Man with the $5. Do you want a discussion about the transition from socialism to capitalism, liberty, individual rights, as an East German person after the Berlin Wall fell? Possibly in the future, but right now I am hideously overbooked and I just cannot. I can't commit to any other such thing. Oh yeah, here we go. Vosh real name Destiny Stephen Beneblo. One day I'll get a Wikipedia page. All right. I love you all very much. I have to go immediately. I have a debate in 2 hours. 2 hours. We have a debate. Debate. Show up for that. Fuck you. All right. Peace. Debate with Bastiat. Fucking Twitch streamer.